Well, Steelers Nation, I'm here with another recap of our Thursday night game. I'm not going to dwell too much on this game. As a Steelers fan, this game happens, once a year, twice a year sometimes. Um, I've been on this page for 6 years, 5 years, I'm not sure how long, 5 or 6 years. And I've always made my thoughts known on Thursday football. I hate Thursday football. It's pointless. It's a risk of injury. It's just for your mediocre teams to get national exposure. Um, with that being said, if you've been a fan of this team for years, you knew this game was coming. This game always happens. But I will say one thing. In the past, this game, you knew when it happened. You knew it was going to be a loss. Um, Anybody on the page can attest to the fact that well within the first half, I said this game's over. I congratulated our Browns admin, said good game, and then we clawed back into it. We don't do that with this type of game. We don't a game that we should win, that we're gonna lose, we lose. We don't claw back into it. We don't take a lead. Just take a look at Arizona last year, New England last year, Chicago like 10 years ago, I want to say it was. Even Houston last year, that was a game that everybody thought we should win, and we lost. Houston looked a lot better than people thought they would be last year, but still, it's that type of game. And from the get, we were down in all those games, and we lost all those games. This game, we clawed back into it. It was offensively. We had Russell Wilson out there. We had Justin Fields out there. I like to see that package expanding a little bit. I like to kind of see them both on the field at the same time, maybe. I'm sure that'll be coming down the road. And this was another perfect game to kind of get that exposure and get Justin Fields' legs back into game shape. I'm not going to say that the Browns are a bad team. Because they always play us tough. They have some poor management from up top. Like, they should be a lot better than they are. And this game pretty much proves it. But like I said, offensively, Russell Wilson had a better game, a bounce-back game. His last two games were kind of pathetic. This game, 21-28, 270 with a touchdown. He did have the one fumble. And I believe he was sacked 4 times. We gotta shore that up. And the sacks aren't the offensive line's fault. They're giving him 3-4 seconds back there. He's got to get that ball out. There wasn't any. I think maybe Myles Garrett had one quick off the edge sack, but other than that, these were all coverage fumbles where he can't sit in that pocket that long, and he can't loop-de-loop the way he does and get out of it the way he did when he was younger. So that we got to get rid of that. As far as rushing goes, Jaylen Warren was the leading rusher with 4.1 carries, 4.1 average per carry, and that touchdown. It's no game like this. We're going to have a lot of games like this. The running has got to be better. Najee Harris is a downhill runner, and he's got to hit those holes, got to hit them hard, hit them in the snow. Justin Fields, impressive, 3 rushes, 26 yards. Said his legs were tired on that long touchdown run, or not long touchdown run, that 30-yard run, and said he could have had a touchdown. And that's going to come with time. Like I said, we're getting his legs back into game shapes. I like the expansion of the passing game as well. You got a lot of guys involved that hadn't been involved before. Not that they hadn't been involved before, but the ball was spread around. It wasn't just George Pickens the way it's been the past few games. We got everybody involved. I'm not sure what's going on with Mike Williams, but, that's another thing. They're obviously working him in the same way they did with Justin. He'll get out there. He'll get on the field. This team, it's very unlikely they miss the playoffs, and right now I think they're gearing up to make the playoffs and to win games in the playoffs. Years past, with the roster construction and the way our seasons have gone, we've always been fighting to get into the playoffs. I think now with the 8-3 record and the division lead, I think we're fine-tuning our offense the way we used to when Ben was running in the show, prime Ben, when we made deep playoff runs, made Super Bowl runs. And I'm not going to say that this team is 100% a Super Bowl contender because they have issues, but if you look at the AFC, everybody has issues. Outside of the Bills, which the Bills, in the postseason will have issues depending on who they face. So there isn't, a 1A or a 1B number one contender right now. I think there's 4 or 5, 6 teams in the AFC that can make the playoffs. So I like to see the offense fine tuning, putting all these wrinkles in, getting these guys exposure to the game plan, and making the game plan more effective. As far as the defense goes, the rush defense was rough. They didn't have very huge productivity, but they did have 3 rushing touchdowns. We gotta seal that up. We can't let that kind of stuff happen, especially the way it happened. Good to see Nick Chubb out there. After last year's injury, there was lots of questions if he'd make it back, but he's looked good. He's rounded into game shape, and I'm happy for him. Nick Herbig had the strip fumble that was pretty huge. TJ Watt's been very quiet the last few games. Early in the season they were moving him around, getting him in different places, getting him different exposure, and I think they've just kind of got complacent with what he's been doing, and they haven't been doing that again. So, and that could be another thing where they're not trying to put too much film out there because you want to save that those big plays for, not that the Browns don't matter, but games that do matter. A Sunday afternoon game that actually matters. Like I said, Thursday Night Football, I'm really down on it. I have been for years. Other than that, we had the 1 interception. I think we had 2 fumbles. Dante Jackson, man, that guy's been huge throughout the years for us. So that's my defensive coverage. And then the big part, our special teams. That's been our rock all year, and they let us down big. Chris Boswell missed a long field goal. He had the leg on it, and it was a windy day. It would have been a shorter field goal, but Russell got sacked before that. So that's, 2 or 3 isn't bad for him, but Corliss Waitman, who has been a godsend all year with that horrible 15-yard one-punch shank that, the game was coming down to the end, and you push them back a little bit farther than they were. It could have been a completely different story, but them are the breaks, and that's what you get. AFC North football on a Thursday night. Tomlin's 0-5 against divisional rivals on the road, 0-6 now, and the organization itself is 0-8. So NFL, stop scheduling those Thursday night road games in the division. Overall thoughts I've kind of covered a little bit earlier. I'm not going to blame the refs. There was a few missed pass interferences against George Pickens by Emerson. Those weren't huge. They were huge plays. They get called, they go the other way. I think the 2-point conversion, there was a clear and obvious hold on Patterson. But I've said all along, you can't blame the refs for losses. The only questionable thing I have for the refs is I don't understand why the illegal touching wasn't also called intentional grounding. It hit all the rules for intentional grounding. I've asked several people what the reasoning is behind that, why it can't be both penalties. It should have been both penalties. And then, that puts him back 10 yards, and it's a 3rd and 12 as opposed to a 3rd and 7. A lot of people are debating why Tomlin took the 5 yards. It's 5 yards in a snow game. 3rd down, they haven't been doing a crap against us. It's their first 3rd down conversion of the game. You want that extra yardage. I know 4th and 2, they might have kicked a field goal there, but I highly doubt it. 4th and 2, they probably would have gone. It was right around the 35, 40-yard range for a field goal there, so I don't think they would have done that because their kicker, Hopkins, hasn't been the best all year. He made a 34 early in the game, but still, you got a lot of pressure on him there at the end. But, like I said, this is AFC North football on a Thursday night. We're on to Cincinnati. We got a longer break for Cincinnati. I think we'll be up for them. I think the offense is rounding into shape. I want to see more of the Justin Fields package, and I think we will. As far as the defense goes, the bend or break is kind of going away. We need to move TJ around a little bit more. But other than that, we should get Corey Trice back here pretty soon from injury, and Alex Highsmith's coming back. So defense should be all right.